DC's The Flash has been developed over the course of 3 regimes, and it has been retooled as many times to reflect whatever was the long-term plan for DC on film at the time. All this retooling and reshaping has of course ballooned the budget to the point where the movie is going to have to gross in the vicinity of 800 million worldwide just to break even. Is the end result, the final movie, good enough that it can get there? Honestly, I don't think so. In this spoiler-free review, I will begin with my overall verdict on the movie itself, before answering the one question you all want answered, and then break down why Michael Keaton returning as Batman can't save this movie. Let's not beat around the bush. This movie is a mess, which should be no surprise given its development story. When the movie was first announced under the Zack Snyder regime, it was going to be a straight-up Flashpoint adaptation, featuring an alternate reality where young Bruce Wayne was killed in that alley, while his father, Thomas Wayne, became murderous Batman, and his mother, Martha Wayne, went mad and became the Joker. This was set up already in Batman v Superman, which is why they hired named talent like Lauren Cohan and Jeffrey Dean Morgan to play what amounted to bit parts that otherwise would have been played by extras. And I still think that would have been the best version of the movie. Alas, that version of The Flash never happened, but eventually, after years of development hell, the movie was in the end filmed under the Ansarnoff and Walter Hamada regime, then with the intention of setting up the DCU, as we've covered before, featuring Batgirl, Supergirl and Wonder Woman as the safer, more inclusive current-year trinity. That changed when David Zaslav came aboard though. Then reshoots to remove any semblance of that plan happened, before James Gunn came in and tweaked the movie some more. And all of that tweaking, all of the movie being a product of so many different chefs in the kitchen, led to the hot mess now in theaters. To be clear, there are moments of both excellence and heart in it, but overall, The Flash is directionless as well as overly long and bloated. So much so, in fact, that by the time we got to the big battle sequence, I found myself tuning out and almost falling asleep because I had already had my fill by then. Oh, and you can leave when the end credits roll. There is a post-credit scene, but it's completely lame and stupid, especially after they recut it to remove the DCU setups that were once there, so I don't even know why they included it at this point. Remember, the movie was going to lead into the since-cancelled Batgirl and Supergirl after that, so there are remnants of the movie setting up the DCU. But that's the end of the wokeness. So in short, no, the movie is not woke, it's merely a mess. The cast are all good though, and that includes Ezra Miller, but what isn't is the multiverse, which in my opinion was horribly handled, and because of that, nothing else in the movie really lands. And sadly, that includes Michael Keaton, who was never going to be the box office draw you might think. As established earlier, The Flash costs so much that it has to earn a small fortune just to break even. Alas, I don't think Michael Keaton returning as Batman is going to move the needle in sufficiently majored a way. Of course, one might interject that the movie was always going to flop because of Ezra Miller, or that since James Gunn is going to reboot everything anyway, there's no reason for audiences to show up. Or that Spider-Man No Way Home beat them to the punch, even if that was only developed as a response to DC's Flash, rushed to reach the market first. But the multiverse setup there screwed Marvel too though, and they suck so bad now that the fallout even hits DC. All of this will likely have contributed towards reducing whatever box office potential the movie otherwise might have had. But that this reduction of box office potential, according to tracking figures, won't be mitigated by the return of Keaton's Batman, only goes to show that he was never that big a draw in the first place. In my opinion, Keaton was never going to move the needle in any major way, because relative to the movie's massive budget, not enough of the movie-going audience are nostalgic about him as Batman, or excited to see him return as geriatric Batman. Now, I know that to many of you, especially those from the late 30s and up, way up, that may sound like crazy talk, because Keaton is your favorite, and I get that. But let's put into context just how long it's been since Michael Keaton was Batman, because I think that is something it's easy to forget. Batman 89 came out in, well, 1989. That's 34 years ago. To people in their 60s, 50s, 40s, and maybe even some in their late 30s who discovered the movie later on, that may not feel that long ago. But to appreciate just how long that really is, let's move back the timescale to an era you won't remember that well. So let's subtract the distance in time from us to 1989 from 1989. That puts us in 1955. Put another way, we are as distant in time from 1989 as 1989 was from 1955. 1955 is the same year that Marty McFly traveled back in time to in the original Back to the Future. Only he traveled from 1985, not 1989, so there is an even greater distance in time between Batman 89 and today than what he traveled in that first movie. Put yet another way, we are as far away from Michael Keaton's original tenure as Batman as Michael Keaton's original tenure as Batman was from George Reeves' Superman. What I'm saying is that over the past few decades, there have come several new generations for whom Michael Keaton isn't merely their father's Batman, but their grandfather's Batman. And there simply aren't enough of today's movie-going audience who are nostalgic about him as their Batman to move the needle for a movie with such a massive budget as this. For The Flash, that spells box office trouble, because Keaton was just about the only thing this movie had going for it. And I don't think that will be enough. Or do you think it might be? What did you think about the movie? Let me know in the comments.